He was a visionary and a pragmatist, a warrior and a diplomat, an enemy and a hero whose legend and likeness penetrated deep and long into the very culture he fought. The red men have borne many and great injuries. They ought to suffer them no longer, declared the Shawnee chief Tecumseh in 1810. My people will not. They are determined on vengeance. They have taken up the tomahawk. They will make it fat with blood. They will drink the blood of the white people. A powerful orator, his speech to the Osage Nation came as he sought to rally some 100,000 indigenous peoples in the cause of halting an expanding population of nearly 7 million Americans, some 400,000 of whom were now living in traditional indigenous territories west of the Appalachian Mountains. For more than a century, colonists had been pushing the indigenous peoples of eastern and southern North America west from their ancestral homelands in the regions of the Great Lakes and east of the Mississippi. As a result, Tecumseh began building a vast, multi-tribal confederacy to fight colonial expansion. The whites brought more than guns and plows to the frontier territories. Smallpox and other diseases, for which the indigenous populace had no defense, wiped out entire populations. His recruitment campaign took him far from his frontier base on the Tippecanoe River in northern Indiana, north into Canada, and south to the Gulf of Mexico. Brothers, if you do not unite with us, they will first destroy us, he warned, 3/4 of a century before the last of the Plains Indians were forced onto reservations and into residential schools, and a way of life disappeared forever. It is now considered one of history's great genocides. They have destroyed many nations of red men because they were not united, said Tecumseh. They wish to make us enemies, that they may sweep over and desolate our hunting grounds, like devastating winds or rushing waters. Tecumseh's Shawnee were joined by Potawatomi, Winnebago, Kickapoo, Menominee, Odawa, and Wyandot. Word of the Shawnees' ambitions spread rapidly, leading William Henry Harrison, governor of the Indiana Territory, to twice negotiate with the dynamic leader face to face. Tecumseh met with Harrison in 1810 and 1811, telling him, "The only way to stop this evil loss of land is for the red men to unite in claiming a common and equal right in the land, as it was first and should be now, for it was never divided." The future president characterized his adversary as one of those uncommon geniuses who spring up occasionally to produce revolutions and overturn the established order of things. Tecumseh's cause was aided by his younger brother, Tenskwatawa, a religious oracle known as the Prophet, who claimed to have powerful visions decreeing that tribes must unite to fight the evil spirits taking their lands. In 1808, the brothers established Prophetstown, where the Confederacy would form its base at the confluence of the Wabash and Tippecanoe rivers. Tecumseh and his confederation fought U.S. forces from August 1810 to October 1813. Pioneers called the great chief the Yaller Devil. In November 1811, while Tecumseh was away building his coalition among southern tribes, Harrison assembled 1,000 troops and attacked Prophetstown, dealing the coalition a devastating defeat at the Battle of Tippecanoe. Tecumseh subsequently formed an alliance with British Major General Isaac Brock during the War of 1812. American Brigadier General William Hull led his forces into Canada in July, then withdrew back across the border to Detroit. A month later, Tecumseh led a coalition of warriors and, with a combined force of Canadian militia and British regulars, surrounded the city's fort. Hull surrendered the garrison and his 2,500-man army having barely fired a shot. The British victory boosted prospects and morale in Upper Canada and inspired tribes in Tecumseh's Confederacy to take up arms against U.S. outposts and settlers. His warriors would strike deep into the United States, attacking forts and sending terrified settlers fleeing back toward the Ohio River. In the fall of 1813, Harrison invaded Upper Canada. The British commander, Henry Proctor, panicked. Fighting non-stop for days, Tecumseh and some 500 warriors screened the British retreat, But on October 5th, Harrison caught up with Proctor at the Thames River near Moraviantown. The British general ignominiously fled, and his regulars surrendered. Tecumseh and his exhausted ranks took up positions in a patch of swampy woodland. The chief said he would retreat no farther. Having dispatched with the British, Harrison sent dragoons and infantry into the thickets. After an hour of fierce fighting, Tecumseh was killed, and his indigenous resistance all but died with him. His vision of an indigenous state in North America was never realized by colonial governments. If it were not for the vicinity of the United States, Harrison later said, Tecumseh would perhaps be the founder of an empire that would rival in glory that of Mexico or Peru. Instead, an October 2021 paper published in the journal Science concluded that the indigenous peoples of the United States lost nearly 99% of the land they historically occupied. Years after his death, the Indiana Sentinel newspaper published a letter singing the praises of the great chief. Every schoolboy in the Union now knows that Tecumseh was a great man, it said. As a statesman, warrior, and patriot, we shall not look on his like again.